Think about this. What if one country's desperate hunt for oil could actually trigger a crisis for all of its neighbors? That's exactly what we're diving into today. It's a massive gamble out in the Arabian Sea, a story about ambition, geology, and a risk so huge it could literally change the entire region forever.
So, could one artificial island really threaten the security of three whole nations? I know, it sounds like something out of a movie, right? But the answer is, well, it's a lot more complicated and, frankly, a lot more real than you'd probably guess. Let's dig into how a single structure could stir up so much trouble.
All right, so what are we even talking about here? We're talking about a massive, man-made island being built by Pakistan right out in the middle of the Arabian Sea. And its purpose? Well, it's about as ambitious as it gets, to drill for oil, and if they pull it off, to basically secure the country's entire energy future on their own. Okay, so you have to be asking yourself, why on earth would they take such a huge risk? The answer, and this probably won't surprise you, comes down to a powerful mix of two things: money and politics. This isn't just some random idea they came up with. It's a central part of Pakistan's official oil exploration strategy. Just try to imagine your country's whole economy constantly being dragged down by having to import expensive fuel. I mean, that's the day-to-day reality for Pakistan. So for them, finding their own oil isn't just a nice goal, it's a potential economic lifeline. But here's where it gets really interesting. The big push for this project, it didn't actually come from geologists who'd found promising data. Nope, it really kicked into high gear after some political support from the US hinted at massive reserves. All of a sudden, the whole conversation shifted to this big US-Pakistan energy deal, even though the actual science, the geology, was telling a completely different and way less optimistic story. And that story that the geology tells, oh boy, it's a story of failure, again and again and again, and costly failure at that. See, this is not the first time somebody has rolled the dice in these waters and come up empty.
Get this, $100 million. That's not the total cost. That's how much was spent on just one single attempt to find oil right here. And what did they find for all that money? Absolutely nothing.
Yep, that was the price tag for ExxonMobil's big swing back in 2019. They drilled down over 5,400 meters and found nothing but water. And listen, this wasn't just a fluke. It was the 18th failed attempt in this very area. 18. At that point, it's not just a bad pattern, it's a giant, flashing red flag. So, okay, let's just say for a second they ignore the terrible odds of even finding oil. Fine. The project itself, the act of building this artificial island is, well, it's basically a powder keg of risk just waiting to go off. Let me give you a little perspective here. Take a look at Japan's Kansai airport. It was built on an artificial island with some of the best, most precise engineering on the planet. And it still sank more than 13 meters, costing over $40 billion to fix. Okay, now let's look at Pakistan's proposed island. It's on an unstable seabed, it's in a zone with severe storms and earthquakes, and it has way less engineering support. The risk of a total catastrophic failure, it's not just higher, it's exponentially higher. Let's just quickly run through the biggest risks here, because there are a lot of them. I mean, it all starts on a shaky foundation, and I mean that literally. You've got unverified reserves and that long history of drilling failures we just talked about. Then you pile on the physical dangers, the unstable seabed, the severe storms and waves, the very real risk of the whole thing just collapsing. And all of that points to the scariest outcomes, the potential for a massive oil spill, the pressure it puts on maritime security, and this deep dependence on foreign engineering to even try to pull it off. Okay, so now let's zoom out a bit, because a disaster here, it wouldn't just be Pakistan's problem. A catastrophe like this doesn't stay neatly within one country's borders. You could say it's a problem without a passport. And here's the bottom line, right? Ocean currents don't stop for border control. An oil spill in Pakistani waters would become a regional catastrophe almost overnight. And the fallout would hit India, Oman, and Iran fast and hard. Just think about the chaos that would unleash. You could have regional navies arguing over who's in charge of the response. Coastal communities, their entire fishing economies could be wiped out overnight. And what about the shipping lanes? We're talking about some of the world's most critical trade routes being severely disrupted. It's a classic domino effect, but on an international scale. And running underneath all of this is something really important called tech geopolitics. Basically, it works like this. Pakistan needs highly advanced foreign expertise to even attempt this project. That means they become dependent on whoever provides it. And the countries with that technology, they aren't just selling equipment, they're gaining real influence, leverage over Pakistan's budget, its safety rules, and in the end, its entire energy future. You know, there's a line from the analysis that just nails it. It says, the region cannot afford a structural failure or spill that affects shared waters. That really says it all, doesn't it? This isn't just about one country's big dream, it's about a vulnerability that they all share. So, it really leaves us with a huge question, one that's bigger than just this project. In this global hunt for energy, where do you draw the line between a country's own ambitions and its responsibility to its neighbors? This gamble in the Arabian Sea forces us all to think about that question, and the answer, whatever it is going to have consequences that ripple out far and wide.